This is a video on how hypnosis changes people. Hi there, how's it going? This is James Tripp. This is Chaos Wave on YouTube, and this video will be going out elsewhere. As I mentioned in the introduction, it's a video on how hypnosis is a powerful medium for helping people to transform their lives, their engagement with the world, and the results that they get. How hypnosis changes people. So, if you are a follower of my work across the years, particularly the Hypnosis Without Trance work, obviously you have an interest in hypnosis. I don't know whether you're already a person that helps people change their lives with the skills that you have, whether you're initially exploring this, whether you just have an interest in the phenomena stuff, whatever it is. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you have an interest in helping people change their lives. And what I'm going to suggest to you is the better your understanding of hypnosis and how it works, the higher your level of skills, the more able you will be to do this. The more able you will be to do this. I put out a video last week about the mind control myth in hypnosis, because hypnosis is not mind control. So hypnotic change work is not based on this precision control of somebody's mind. It's based on mastering the skills to profoundly influence how somebody is experiencing the world, how they are making up the world to be in their own mind, to profoundly influence them to change the trances they are living their lives by. So what we're going to look at in this video is how hypnosis actually works with our everyday reality shaping faculties, if you like, to transform people's experience, but transform their experience in a way that lasts, that is actually generative, that actually makes a difference going forward. And the reason I mention this is because if you think about it, if you're doing a simple hypnotic phenomena, okay, one of the things I teach, the basic things I teach in the Hypnosis Mastery Program, for example, is a hand stick. You can take somebody into a profound experience of their hand being stuck, but it will not be stuck for the rest of their lives. It's a transient trance that comes and goes, and it's unlikely that unless they're facilitated into that again, they will ever really have that experience again. But if somebody is in a trance of nail biting, for example, and I'll talk about what I mean by trances in this sense, for them that's a trance that recurs. So it's a recurrent trance, but it's a part of their trance repertoire, the repertoire of trances through which they do life. So when we're doing hypnotic change work, it's not the same as simply creating a temporary transient trance that a hypnotic phenomena might be. What we're actually looking to do is either transform old pre-existing automated, regularly occurring trances, or help somebody create new trances of engagement with life that will run again in an automated way. Okay? So just because you stick someone's hand once doesn't mean it's going to keep happening to them in an automated way. But if you give somebody a new trance of engaging proactively in a place where previously they were hanging back, in an assertiveness trance, for example, you want that to be able to run. So this is the thing about getting real change that lasts. It's not just temporarily changing a trance or a state of mind. It's doing so in a lasting way. Now, I mention this here because one of the things that I hear a lot from people is this a version of this story. I went to see a hypnotherapist, or I went to see a hypnotist, and I got some change, and it was really good for a couple of weeks, but then something changed back. And the reason that that's occurred is because there has been a successful change in their trance pattern, a re-trancing, okay, of their everyday trances, but it hasn't been done in such a way that that's perpetuated itself. Okay, so there's a failing there. There is a failing there, and sometimes that failing comes about due to a misunderstanding about the nature of hypnosis, because that misunderstanding is there, the hypnotist cannot use their skills effectively to create lasting change. And that's what we're interested in doing, creating lasting change. So before I say anything about the mechanism of hypnosis, of everyday trances, and how we can create lasting change, I want to have a brief interlude to say that this video is sponsored by the tripp-macarthur Changework Skills Development Program. I am the Tripp of tripp-macarthur fame, and that I'm making this video now in a timely fashion because we have a tripp-macarthur Level 1 coming up on the 16th to the 19th of March in Edinburgh. I'm not going to say any more about that for now. I might say a little at the end of the video, I'm not sure. But I just want to float that there so that that's in the back of your mind. And if as you're watching this video, you think, do you know what, this is something I'd really like to be able to do. I'd like to be able to help people make changes in this way. And you can get to Edinburgh for those dates. There's a fantastic offer on this week only. Not going to say anything more about that now, but I'm just leaving that on the table. So, human beings, people, hypnosis, change, life change. This is what we're interested in. And in order to understand how this works, we have to understand something about human beings and something about the nature of hypnosis. And actually, these two things about human beings and the nature of hypnosis are the same thing. This is why hypnosis is powerful. We think of hypnosis as this special thing that occurs away from everyday life. But the truth of it is hypnosis is interwoven into everyday life. Because what hypnosis is really, and this is my Hypnosis Without Trance classic definition, it's the use of language and communication to direct attention, lead cognition, and seed ideas for the purpose of leading somebody into an altered experience of reality. Now, this last point, an altered experience of reality, something that people do not realize is that they are always in one kind of a trance or another all the time. In a sense, if we think of hypnosis as trance, people are never not hypnotized. And what I mean by this is nobody at any point ever is experiencing the world as it is. They are only ever experiencing it as their mind is making it up to be in that moment. Now, of course, when we're out and about in everyday life, we have data coming in through our eyes and through our ears, and that gets pulled into our reality-shaping faculty that makes up the experience of the moment. But it is our mind, our neurobiological reality-shaping organ that is our mind body, that creates the actual experience that we have. This is why you can have a situation where, recently we were staying in some short-term let accommodation, which we are currently as well, and a little mouse came in. And my youngest daughter's response to the mouse is, oh, like a little cute mouse. Oh, isn't it lovely? Isn't it cute? She had one experience of the mouse. My wife's experience of the mouse was quite different. She was like, ooh, dirty, oh, a little bit frightening, vermin, this kind of thing. So my wife and my daughter are experiencing the same thing here out in the world in a very, very different way. They're experiencing it through a different trance, if you like. This is the way I use trance. In traditional hypnosis, let's say something about trance here, the way I'm using it. If you've studied the Hypnosis Without Trance Hypnosis Mastery Program, you'll be familiar with the concept of the hypnotic loop. There I say hypnosis isn't about trance, and I bring in this new term, hypnotic loop. Now, you could say a hypnotic loop is a trance, but it's not the traditional hypnotic trance, okay? So the way I'm using trance here, I'm using it poetically to describe any state of mind, of being, of experiencing, from which largely automated behaviors emerge. Okay, so if somebody runs a fear trance, when the stimulus, the data that says the thing that out there that they call a mouse is there, and they run a fear trance, they will respond in a predictable behavioral way of moving away from it, tightening up, maybe squealing, the classic Tom and Jerry, the woman that jumps up on the stool screaming and holding her skirts. So that is an example of an automated trance. You might get somebody that has to present in a business meeting, and suddenly they go, and I had a client recently who started to shake, and their voice would lock up, and and they wouldn't be able to say anything. They went into a particular trance from which a particular set of behaviors emerged. Now, you get trances good and bad, by the way. We do our lives through trances. We all have a trance repertoire. Like a comedian has a repertoire of jokes, okay? There's some flexibility within that, but they largely have a repertoire of jokes from which they build their show. Or a musician has a repertoire of pieces they can play, or licks and hooks and riffs if they're a guitarist or pianist or whatever, from which they create their performance. We all have a repertoire of trances through which we create our lives. Okay, this is why people get consistent kinds of results in their lives, because they run consistent kinds of trances that tend to get those kind of results. Now, I want to say something about this, because all trances, our everyday trances that we run, our trance repertoire, it can be for good or bad. And whether it's good or whether it's bad, it depends on our judgment of it. If I have a fear of flying, well, I could say that's bad if rationally I think flying on planes is actually perfectly safe and it's an irrational fear. I decide it's a rational fear, therefore I want to choose to change the trance. But if I genuinely believe in my most rational moments that actually flying is dangerous and I'd be a fool to fly on a plane, then my trance is helping me, according to my broader worldview. You see, so trances are not good or bad. A fear trance makes sense if the thing that you're fearing is really dangerous. But if in a more rational moment you think, do you know what, there isn't really any danger in me presenting in the meeting, I need to get past this. So when in our more transcendent moments, we judge a trance as being less than useful, then we want to change it. But I want to make something clear. All trances are high performance states. They are high performance states. You might be, I don't know, world-class pool player. You drop into your demon pool playing trance. It's a high performance state. You play pool exquisitely in that state. If you go to a party and you run a social anxiety trance, you run it perfectly. It's a high performance state. You do the social anxiety exquisitely. All trances are high performance states. Okay, just some of them in a transcendent moment. This is to do with the trance and transcendence model. Some people have learned this from me before. If you haven't, you will learn it on the tripp-macarthur training. The trance and transcendence model. In those transcendent moments, we can look at our trances and go, do you know what, are they really serving me in creating the life that I want to create, living in the world in an enriching and fulfilling way? At that point, if we look and we decide we want to change part of our trance repertoire, we can. We are fully equipped to do it. Every human being has a profoundly neuroplastic brain. Okay, you were not born with any of these trances that you run your life through. You were not born with any. Okay, you created them. As you were growing up, we all do. We come into the world with no distinctions, no trances, no understandings, nothing, just a few reflexes, and we start building a set of trances to engage with the world through, which are built from a set of understandings about how the world works. I'm going to get into this a little bit more in a moment because it's relevant to change work. So here's the thing. A lot of people, they fall for the illusion, I am my trances. This is why Stephen Walensky said, all trances are identities. We think this is who I am, this collection of trances. It isn't. You go beyond those trances. You are the intelligence that created or co-created those trances in the first place. And that intelligence, that you are, that deep, profound intelligence, is still there. Okay? Now, of course, a kid comes into the world, doesn't have any trances, therefore has no way to bring itself to bear upon the world, has no power, has massive amounts of motivation to build a trance repertoire. Once you're an adult, it's not suppressing. You have a trance repertoire. It works for you. You're alive. It must do. Okay? So we lose our motivation to recreate ourselves and recreate our trances that we had when we were a kid, but we do not lose the capacity. So part of the thing about doing hypnotic change work is switching back on the capacity that is innately there for people to transform themselves, transform their trances, to learn, grow and change. It's to switch it back on. And part of that switching back on is actually the removal of the illusory obstacles to doing it. So, and this is the point about lasting change, by the way, because if you're a skilled hypnotist, you could bring a nervous person into a temporary trance of profound confidence. But how do you then wire that in, so to speak? How do you have them start to connect with that deeply and see that as being, oh my God, this is part of who I am. I can do this. In fact, obviously I will do this. There needs to be a deeper change. This is why sometimes hypnosis doesn't work to get lasting change. Okay, so we've got a couple of points covered here. I want to recap. Human beings do the world through their trance repertoires. Okay, if in a transcendent moment they look and they see these particular trances, they're not aligned with how I want to live my life and the life that I want to create, then if you're going to help them with hypnosis to change things, you need to help them to change those trances. You need to help them to change those trances. This is the art. This is the craft. This is what we want to be able to do. And to help people change the trances, what's important to recognize is the same faculties, the same modes through which the trances were created are the same sorts of things you're going to use to change them. It's not something different. Hypnosis isn't some special weird juju thing that's different from everyday life that you sort of bring in and change things. It's not magic. In order for hypnosis to work, it has to work with our innate learning, growing, transforming mechanisms that we have, our innate capacities to learn, grow and change. So how we built our trances, our understandings of the world, is what we're going to use to change things. So, baby comes into the world, has no repertoire of trances. Every trance is built upon ideas, concepts, understandings about how the world works. If you studied the Hypnosis Without Trance material, Hypnosis Mastery Program, the Hypnotic Loop, beliefs is right at the top of the loop. Now, beliefs could be relabeled concepts, conceptualizations, ideas, understandings. We come into the world without any, really. We don't even have a distinction between self and other. And then we create a distinction between self and other. We start to conceptualize. Concepts, understandings, these are the building blocks of beliefs. Now, building blocks of trances, when I say concepts, when I say understandings, when I say ideas, I'm talking about something deeply unconsciously embodied. I'm not talking about some intellectual understanding up here. Most of our deepest ideas that we use to shape the world, shape our experience, we don't even know we hold. You see, because you cannot see what you are seeing the world through. If you have a concept that you're really seeing the world through that's shaping a trance, you cannot see that it's a concept because it seems like it's just reality as it is. This is the nature of it. This is why trances, whilst they are illusory in many ways, always seem profoundly real. This is why they're so tough to change. We cannot change what's true, can we? Why would we change what's true? Okay? So most people, they have beliefs, but they don't know their beliefs. They think those beliefs are facts. And they're invisible to them. The facts, the beliefs they operate by, they're invisible. This is the stuff that we have to change. But how do we get them, you see? Because we're not born with them. We're not born with any ideas or concepts. We're not born with any trances other than the raw trance of being. Where do we get them from? Well, there are basically two ways. There's the experiential way and there is what we might call the cognitive way, for want of a better word. The experiential way, experiential learning is quite simple. Little kids playing with a cat for the first time, cat scratches them, it hurts. The primitive brain creates a new concept of cat as dangerous. Cat is bad, cat is dangerous. It's encoded deeply, so then for the rest of that person's life, every time they see a cat, they drop into cat is dangerous trance and they react in a particular way. Now, for a lot of people that's no big deal. I have a tomato loathing trance. If I eat tomato, I will go into a gag reflex. It's not really the tomato I'm experiencing, it's my trance about the tomato. I've never changed that. Why? Because actually it's no big deal. I just don't eat tomatoes. It doesn't bother me. It's not an issue in my life. Somebody else might think I should change it. For me, it's not an issue. There have been many other changes that I have made in my life that have been more pressing than that. The whole tomato thing, not really bothered. Just don't eat tomato. So if somebody doesn't mind avoiding cats, that's fine. But if they suddenly, I don't know, get a job in a cattery and that's the only job they can get and they need to adapt to it, or they just go, do you know what, I'd actually like to be okay with cats, or they get married to somebody who loves cats, or whatever, they've got a reason to change the trance, they can. But this is the basic way of learning through experience, through association, classic conditioning. This equals that. Hot thing equals burnt equals pain equals avoid. And this is the mechanism actually by which a lot of post-traumatic stress stuff occurs. You could call it post-traumatic stress learning. You could call it just a post-incident learning. If somebody's been in a situation whereby something that they have processed as life-threatening has occurred, where they have not processed themselves as really having the power to deal with it, even if they did survive it, their brain will just encode that situation as extremely dangerous, and they will be on high alert for that situation. Okay, their brain will keep on putting them into the trance of danger about that situation, whether it's real or imagined. It doesn't make any difference. So this is partly part of the mechanism for how post-traumatic stress works. So we have this experiential learning. Now, being aware of this, you can call this bottom-up learning. When we're doing hypnotic change work, we can shift people's states and run the charge off this. Okay, by creating mind-made experiences, because all experiences are mind-made. The original experiences are mind-made with a live data feed, but whether you have mind-made with a live data feed or mind-made without, they still change brains. So this is one way that we can use hypnosis to change trances. The other way is the top-down way, which is the cognitive way. As we grow up, we hear things from other people. People tell us what's true and what's not about the world and about ourselves. They tell us. And we can pick this up directly. Like some kid might grow up being told they're good for nothing, and they just take it on face value. I'm good for nothing. But they might also do it inferentially. Maybe a parent's always too busy to speak to them or something, and they infer, well, I'm not good enough. So it can be direct or it can be inferential. But we get the idea in, we get the concept in, that shapes our self-image in a particular situation. Self-image is destiny, as Nathaniel Branden said. Why? Because it creates many of the trances through which we engage. So this is the other way we learn, which is top-down. We've got this bottom-up, top-down, experiential, cognitive. And when we're doing hypnotic change work, we want to use both together. We want to use both together. This is why mastering the art of language and communication, particularly structuring suggestion in a way that can have that inferential faculty that people use to naturally recreate how they're conceptualizing a particular moment in their lives, a particular recurring context in their lives, how they're conceptualizing themselves. Because when they change how they're conceptualizing, they change the root of the trance. This is not intellectual concepts I'm talking about, it's embodied concepts, deep, unconscious, embodied concepts. Okay, that's how it works. So I'm aware this video has gone on for a little longer than I want, and I think actually I'm going to run out of memory on my phone, so it's a good time to wrap. If this is of interest to you, if you want to know more about this, please do make use of the questions section, the comments section to ask questions below. Anything about these ideas. I've given you a lot in this video. I'm aware I've given you a lot. It's longer than some of my recent videos, but it's a rich topic, and I'm really just scratching the surface here. If you know you want to do the Tripp-Macarthur Change Work Skills Development Program, there'll be links coming up on this video. There'll be links in the comment section around. You can go to the information page. You can find out more. You can book, and we'd love to have you on board. It's an invitation to learn profound change work skills and understandings so that you can show up, you can help people make changes with anyone, anywhere, anytime, for real. And we recognize that sometimes it's messy. You need the understandings to be able to troubleshoot, but when you really get how people work, when you really get how people organize their reality, when you understand this and you understand how you can connect your language communication skills to shift that, then you really are in the most powerful position you can be to help people make real changes in their lives. So that's the 16th to 19th of March in Edinburgh, UK. Ongoing online learning. It's a great thing. So you just check out the links. And aside from all of that, if you like this video, like the video, if you want to learn more about this kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel, set your notifications, comment section, questions, and the conversation will continue.